Hello. Hello on this Monday. It is a bit of a dreary day out there in Melbourne. So I'm jumping in for Monday message, and the message I want to share is around all of the things, those of you who are following this Facebook group, or if you're in the Global Soul Centre Facebook page, I assume that you're interested in your spiritual development. I assume that you're interested in wanting to get to know the inner parts of yourself. I assume that you're interested in wanting to understand things beyond our five senses and how everything is connected and how we connect with everything. And I'm going to have to turn my Instant Pot off because it's beeping at me. Just give me one sec. Oh, okay, it stopped. We'll see if it comes again. Just made a lentil and vegetable soup. All right, so bearing that in mind, that we are interested in developing ourselves spiritually, the thing is, it's like so many things for us as humans. Like, theoretically, we know the things to do that are good for us, right? We know that to eat well is good for us, but yet we're not always disciplined with that, right? We know that having a certain amount of sleep is really good for us, but we're not always disciplined with that. Or various ones of us are better at some things than others. Some of us are really great at being disciplined with our exercise for our health, but not our sleep, or vice versa, or our food, or whatever it is, right? So with our spiritual connection and our spiritual development, the thing that we often avoid, and I know this for me, and this is the message that I've been given really clearly, that I am seeking to be more disciplined with, is just the sitting down in silence with myself, rather than filling up all the spaces and the time with watching something else, listening to something, reading something. So sometimes we think with our spiritual development, oh, but for example, right now you're watching this, right? It's easier to just sit and watch someone else say something, share something. It's easier to sit down and read a book than to actually say, you know what? I'm going to switch everything off. I'm going to switch the whole world off, and I'm going to sit down in silence, and I'm going to just be with myself. How much easier is it to go, you know what, I'll spend half an hour watching a Netflix show. I'll spend an hour, I'll spend 2 hours going to watch a movie, right? I will go out and have a walk with my friend for an hour. I'll go and do this or that, all these things that are fun. But what is not necessarily regarded as fun for us is the idea of sitting down in the discipline of our spiritual journey and just being in silence and just focusing on our breath and being with ourselves, meditating, whatever you want to call it, right? Everything that we're seeking, all the peace, all that sense of inner stability, that sense of connection, that everything is connected, that we are not separated, that everything is one, none of that is truly available anywhere outside of ourselves. The only place that we can access those feelings, those sensations, is, I believe, really, truly access it, is when we are in silence with ourselves, feeling the sensations of the breath, feeling the sensations of the energy of where it's moving, where it's going, following it, watching it, observing it, working the thoughts, allowing them to come in, come out, watching them, observing them, and then moving away from the mind and focusing more on this inner temple, this inner part of ourselves. Having said that you can't find that outside of ourselves, I would say that some of the spaces that you can get close to those feelings of connection with others, those moments in time where you are so connecting to someone and you're so absorbed in a conversation and you're just vibing and resonating, and like you lose sense of time, you lose sense of self, you feel like it's all da 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 da. that's when we're starting to get close, because we're communing from that level of ourselves with the other level, right? Really having that soul connection in conversations. Then, you know, that you can find it outside of ourselves, but in my view, it's really inside ourselves. And so next time you think, right, I'm going to fill up some time, I'm going to listen to that podcast, I'm going to read that book, I'm going to watch that show, I'm going to blah 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 blah, in terms of, I'm talking about like your spiritual journey here, right? Then what is being suggested to me to work more on, because we tend to be distracted with everything else, and happily distracted with everything else, but it's not comfortable, correct, Danny? Not often comfortable to sit down with ourselves, just sit with ourselves and just allow, like some of the stuff in my meditation that came up this morning was really interesting. And it was like, oh, okay, that's there, right? I didn't know that. And just allowing it to kind of just observing it and watching some stuff come up and play through, and just not judging that part of me that was coming up, and just acknowledging that that was there. And it kind of just then turned, I guess metaphorically or symbolically, like into a different image that then softened and just kind of worked its way through. So in that, we kind of feel like we can start to really purify ourselves, because you are energy alchemists, you are natural healers, you are naturally intuitive, you are naturally energetic, you are spiritual, you are all of those things naturally within you. So Danny is saying, yes, correct. It's interesting how we can be uncomfortable in our own presence, hey? Yeah, and we're always wanting to, you know, fill it all up, fill the silences. So just being more and more comfortable with that. And so Callie says, I spend so much time these days just sitting on my butt in my Zen den with my cats, my crystals, and myself. I love it. It does get boring, but it is all I can manage a lot of the time at the moment. I have to accept this is where I'm at and this is what I can manage. And so it's calming and healing. So much beauty in that, because it's like, you know what, for whatever reason for you, Cal, that's what you feel like you can manage. And instead of fighting against it, you're just saying, you know what, okay, this is my hand right now. This is what I will be, and I'll just surrender to that and go with, and actually then enjoy. So that's beautiful. That is beautiful. And there's a time, right, for it all. There's a time for us to be harvesting, and there's a time for us to be planting, and there's a time for us to be resting, and we are cyclical. We are not these linear creatures. So just remembering that, and never being in comparison with another human, because we don't know their curriculum, we don't know their journey, we don't know where they're up to. So it's impossible to ever look upon another human and say, oh my God, it's impossible to do this in a valuable way. I would just alter that sentence. To look at another human and say, oh my gosh, they are like so far ahead of me. We have no idea, truly, because the game board, the goalposts, all of the kind of stuff, the ones that are of the worldly nature, I suggest are very different to the ones of our soul and the journey our soul is on. And depending on what you came here for. So each of us have signed up for different things and different experiences. You know, it's like when you signed up for your earthly experience, I'll add the guacamole for $5. I'll add the blah blah experience, I'll add the this, I'll add the this, I'll add that. No, I'm not gonna have this, I'm gonna have this, right? And then you've also leave it up to other people to add in a few things in the mix, and so nothing is like set in stone. So my message in a nutshell is just to invite you to take some more time for silence, solitude, introspection, reflection, journaling, the stuff that may be uncomfortable, you may be happy to avoid and distract yourself, filling all of ourselves up with all the other things, the scroll hole, the hoo-ha, the Netflix, the this, the that, right? All the noise. I mean, you jump on social media and it's just, you can just go down burrows and da-da-da. Just constantly avoiding ourselves, avoiding sitting down and actually doing the work. That's my message, friends. Thanks for those who jumped on live. Let me know who you are, and if you're watching the replay, resonating, relating, any comments, any reflections, pop them in. I love with this community how we really create that, where people are putting in their own reflections as well. Take care out there, beauties. Mwah! I love you. Bye.